the more culture gets interfered with liberalism or with westernization, we lose a lot. You've seen videos Mr. Sisang alluded to earlier, where girls are shaking before their in-laws. Among the Baganda, you have to carry yourself with a lot of respect. Even the choices of the songs they're playing at the introduction ceremonies of late are a little bit condescending. I don't want to attend introductions unless I am sure you're grounded in your culture, because I'm not sure what's going to be there. I don't want my face to be in a video where a girl was shaking so much and someone zoomed into me looking in awe. Like, how did we get here? So I'm a little bit sensitive there. The biggest thing that it has caused, it has given men a lot of, it has massaged a lot of men's egos. They feel they have earned it. I've seen some shallow-minded men in the digital spaces saying, so the pressures that come with that are big. Women can be as excited as they can be when they're having these occasions, but the price they pay, it's more depressing than what meets the eye. Domestic violence is one. Then two, the more we amplify or we commercialize bride price, it validates men who have a lot of money to marry as many wives as they can, hiding under the guise of so I am not going to marry Dr. Eric's daughter because I can afford, and then I come to Nabasa's home, I get another one because I can afford. Before you know, I travel to Malawi and I'm doing some work and I end up in Mr. Sesanga's compound. Why? I can, because I have money. Can we have values that are grounded in the different cultures, respected, but again, look at the return to investment. The return to investment is the respect you're going to give your wife. Because I bought you this much doesn't mean that I'm not going to respect you. Me actually paying the dowry of 20 cows myself single-handedly doesn't mean I'm going to treat my beautiful wife, Linda, as a prize. That is the challenge I've seen with the commercializing of the bride price. But then the other thing is the values and the norms that we subscribe to as tribes, as Africans, have equally been diluted. So it's then incumbent on us, we, the now generation, me and Habasa, Dr. Ron and Mr. Sesanga in a different lane. It's upon us to pick from these two elders of us that we can, tweak it to our interests, but we don't lose the values and the norms that we can protect our daughters, or else I'm so much worried about what is ahead of us. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Very, very valid points from you all. And maybe now we can hear from Dr. Eric and Mr. Sesanga, who have actually given away their daughters. What was the negotiation like, and what was the final outcome?
With me, it was rather simple. As I've stated before, I've stuck to the original because I was lucky enough to have grown up with my grandparents. So I saw them marrying off their single daughter and being involved with a lot of other girls of that generation that were being married off because they had either been brought up by my grandparents or they were a part and parcel of the families that were giving them away. And there was nothing commercial or big value involved. So when I came to have these many daughters, and I told you 9, those are 9 biological daughters. I have several others that are daughter to me, though non-biological, and they may subscribe to another culture other than Baganda culture. And none of those have also been given out, sold away in any form. So with my first daughter to get married, I specifically told the gentleman that he wasn't to follow another culture except the very traditional Baganda culture. But even with that, I was not going to encourage him to bring essential goods, which started during the times of scarce commodities in Uganda. People started bringing sugar and sodas and salt during Amin's time when things got, but those were not traditional. When somebody brought you salt, they brought you half a kilo wrapped up in a banana fiber. And they brought you a piece of meat, they brought you a kilo of meat. And when they brought you something else, they may get you a tin of paraffin. So those were gifts beyond the traditional ones, and they were never big. So I told this guy that I wasn't going to accept any of those. I told him I wouldn't encourage him to bring them because I didn't need them. And even if I needed them, I don't have a place where I can store 50 kilos of beef. And then if I'm going to cut beef and start giving it away to people, then I don't think that is also the right way to go about it. So I told him not to. He insisted that he was going to give me a gift anyway. So when they came with the traditional things I'd asked them to bring, he brought me an MTN. I was in Uganda for the meeting, and we have a home there, and he brought me a MTN fast broadband modem as a special gift because he knew I was a tech nerd, but unfortunately, I had already installed one. So he spent all that money to give me a gift that I really didn't need. And it was unfortunate. But I still kept it and I found somebody to give it to. So that was a gift by proxy. And the second one asked me the same thing. I said, no, but he's from Zimbabwe, and for them, they do lobola. So he felt he needed to give me something. I said, well, you are coming into a home, and if you're coming into a home, you're going to be a son in this home. So find something in the compound you want to do. So my daughter, who he married, whom he was proposing to then, suggested that they fix the pool. We had a swimming pool, and the pump had broken. So I said, okay, if he wants to do that, let him do it, but not in lieu of a bride price. Let's just give a home a gift. Unfortunately, he hasn't fixed it yet, but that was that. The third one, who married early this year, still also came to say that, and I still insisted. He's a boy from a Mugweri from the east. I don't know whether the Bagweri give bride price, because I think they are a cross between those people who keep cows and those that do more agrarian work than livestock. And he kept quiet about it. But when he came, he brought me a vintage wine, which I thought was very sweet because I'm a wine connoisseur. So I thought that would have been bigger than maybe 100 cows, because I love cattle, but I don't think I can give my daughter away for just the love of cattle.
My experience was carried on from our parents' generation. I think when I got married, I was young, 24 years old. My wife was young. And I went to the mother. The father had passed on. The mother told me, I said, they talk about bride price, but I want to get married to your daughter. She said, you're young. I said, yes, I am. I'll grow one day and I'll grow with your daughter. So I asked her what she wanted for bride price. And she said, nothing. My daughter is not for sale. Just give me a token of a gift. Just bring and take away the daughter. Ask for my daughter's hand in marriage with a token of appreciation. That's it. And that was it. So I paid absolutely nothing for my wife. And for my daughter, I insisted the same thing, because I don't believe, like Mr. Sesanga said, I can afford to buy sugar. I can afford to buy salt. These are basic things. You cannot make a young man bring you the father-in-law or the father salt and sugar. And so the son-in-law, my son-in-law asked me, what do you want me to bring for your daughter? I said, nothing. You don't buy my daughter. She's worth more than anything. All you have to do is look after her, because I love my kids to death and my daughters are very, very close to me. So I just said, just look after her, make sure she will never be unhappy, and that's it. So of course they insist they bring gifts, but they were not meant to be bride price, and whatever they brought, we appreciated as a family, but there was no bride price at all, church, for my daughter. And I have one more daughter, there will be no bride price. You freely given, freely take. It's a gift from God. And I know people have used the excuse of, I looked after my daughter, I paid. Hey, none of us asked our parents to give birth to us. Did you make an appointment for your father to give birth to you? You didn't. They opted, they chose. So if they bring you in the earth, it's their responsibility to pay for you, to take you to school, to make you grow into an adult and a responsible adult. It's nobody's role, it's their role. And so they don't expect anybody to pay for their decision to give birth to you. So that's not an excuse at all. And people must stop using that as an excuse. It's their responsibility. I didn't ask my mother to give birth to me. They did. If you do, look after me. And when you've looked after me, when I'm of age, I look after myself. And nobody should pay for you having looked after me. It was your responsibility.
For starters, I hope Sesanga's son-in-law watches this clip so that he can fix that swimming pool, because to Mubanja, really. But, you know, I was just thinking to myself, and I asked my wife before I came for the show, I said, when the time comes, how shall we handle this bride price issue, you know? And it's funny because even at home, there's a tree she wanted to plant somewhere in the middle of the compound. And I said, no, put it on the side, because where will the bako sit? So me, I've already started thinking about that child. My firstborn is 13, you know. But of course she said, no, me, I can't put a value or whatever, we'll give them away for free. But I want us to be careful not to throw away the baby with the bathing water, you know, that there has to probably, there's a value of bride price. There has to be a positive side of all of this. And not that I'm pro commercialization, not that you can put a value to the child, but I think a young man who is coming to take a daughter needs to be able, one way or another, not that it's demanded of him, but to be able to demonstrate capacity, to demonstrate that, you know, I am able. Because you see, Sesanga's daughters, before they went, they probably had Sesanga's name. And because they had his name, he was responsible for everything, their fees, their hair, their makeup, everything. Now, going over to Zimbabwe, they're going to get some Zimbabwe young man's name, and he's now the one responsible. And so I think bride price, the flip side or the positive side of it is just the young man demonstrating, I am able to, I will take care of your daughter, even if you have not demanded it of me. Because any parent, it's not that you want your daughter to go to a rich family or whatever, but you want the comfort of knowing that, you know, I'm releasing my child to a place where I can sleep at night and not worry that has she had a meal, does she have some clothes on her back. So yeah, I think we should just be careful not to throw out this thing altogether and allow for the young man to sweat. Chamagero sweated, even paid his bride price.
Ronnie sweated.
Lucky for him.
I like that you said that, Ronnie, because it was taking me to the next question. Because one might argue and say we are eroding culture, but how do you think? Because I've had a few sentiments from you, Ronnie. But what do you think we can do to have that balance, have the spirit of culture, but also fight the negative impact on the bride price? That balance, so that the culture is there. What do you think we can do?
Like I said before, it's a customary instrument to ratify marriage, and we're not removing it. I think it's critical in terms of culture for you to express love for your husband, for a husband to express love for his wife, and also for a husband to honor the bride's family, honor her value and womanhood. So it's important that in doing that, like Ronnie said, you come out to the family with a token of appreciation. So you show that customary instrument of appreciating the bride you're taking, but not in payment, in lieu of whatever was spent in educating her, or in lieu of the fact that now that you're taking the wife, the families are going to become rich. Because what it has turned out to be, when a groom-to-be comes, they buy a house, they buy a car, they are demanding. And now the bride's parents are actually demanding, or their families. Of course, sometimes the elders take over from the father and they demand all these things, but that's not right. It's not right. And we're not saying replace it or abolish it, but it should stay as a customary practice that ratifies marriage, that demonstrates the love of a husband for his wife and brings honor to the family. And that can be a token of appreciation, depending on how able you are. If I'm a 20-year-old, does that mean I can't marry when I want to marry? And all I can afford is maybe a packet of tea leaves. That should be appreciated and taken in the sense that it's a gift, an honor of the family in respect of the bride that I'm taking. That would be my submission.
I think Doctor makes a very critical point there. The age, the reason why most of our colleagues don't want to marry today, they are scared. It's scaring to go to a family where they're asking lots of things. Yet even you as an individual, you're struggling in this COVID economy, where systems have actually failed to, give us opportunities where we should be thriving. So I think we should give it a level, especially to the parents. From where I come from, I'm of a thought that we need to be very flexible. It doesn't make sense for me to give my daughter to a man who is wealthy, but doesn't love her. Honestly, doesn't understand her. I mean, I just don't want my daughter to go as a prize. Can my daughter go as a value addition? But again, it comes in two layers here. We can maintain this if we encourage our daughters to work smart as well. If a daughter goes and works so hard and she has some property to her name, she has a value to her name, then she's not just coming with a suitcase in somebody's home. She's like, I worked this hard, I have this much, I love you, I adore you, I believe in you. What do you have? Can we put it together that we can form a family? And then we run with that. So the instance of parents amplifying the issue of that is totally nonsensical. We should rather empower the women or the girl child to work so much and so hard and smart as well, that when the time for marriage comes, it's not the man, bringing everything to the table. No. What are you bringing to the table? I love you so much, my dear husband, but we are not going to waste money even in this too much pomp of introduction with a convoy that takes you as far as your eyesight can go. No, we are going to do something we can afford. Listen, that they're not just getting married, but they're carrying value to the other person. I think it will make more sense than just to give away our daughters to rich men who don't equally love them. Like you've spent all these years grooming a good wife to be, and there she goes just to be rented an apartment, and he shows up as and when he feels like. That's not what we would like to see our daughters and sisters subscribe to. Thank you.
I was just wondering, I think the guys have really said it all in regards to commercializing and all of that. And it's just a pity, and this is a call to parents out there. You cannot look at your daughter's big day as a business transaction. I have had the unfortunate experience of, escorting a friend somewhere. And I don't know if there was a miscommunication on the number of cows. And these days the cows they fit in an envelope, because still commercializing, like Sesanga said, whether you stay in Entebbe or what, the cow is to be put in an envelope. And then they say it's not a local cow, it has to be in Tenzungu. And then now that cow, you are starting from 2 million, 2.5 upwards. And, we reached there, we had traveled all the way somewhere to Uganda, and I think either the communication of the number of cows had not been clear. My friend, we were literally almost sent away because either we had carried 6 and they wanted 10 or 8. And it was such a terrible thing. And the girl cried and said, but Daddy, this is the man I love. And then, like Chamagero said, it's sometimes not just the father, the uncles who have come together and they're like, and it's a pity. It's a pity to try and, in fact, I like the way it's done in the West. On top of the bride price, when the girl went, there was what was called a mihinjiro. The family actually blessed them with some sort of entandikwa, to go, because you're young. Dr. Eric was 24 when he got married. I was 27, and if my parents-in-law had looked at my bank account, they might not have given me their daughter, but if they had looked at my heart account, I'm sure that's what they saw. And they said, our girl is going to a serious place. And later on, as you hustle, the bank account starts to match the heart account. And that's really the way it should be.
Let's stick to what traditions demanded. And because the traditions had found that would be part of the sanctification of the institution of marriage, and bringing up two families together and preparing young couples for a journey together. Let's do the gifts, which we are just part ceremonial, as long as we have imparted the right values into the young people from both the sides. The importance of the institution of marriage and how it should be when they get together, building a family and a successful relationship. Let's not give it hurdles before it even starts. My namesake, Ronnie, has used this word again and again. Let's not throw away the baby with the bathing water. Yes, but let's keep the ceremonies attached to introductions and on decisions of people getting into the institution of marriage, but let's not commercialize it. And for me, anybody who does that is not giving away a loved daughter. He just raised somebody to trade. It's like having all these cows that we keep selling to the butchermen to go down to the abattoir. I wouldn't want my daughter to go that way. And I don't think any man, because normally daughters are the darlings of fathers. I don't think any man would want a child to go that way. Even if you're pressured by the clan or the sub-clan or the tribe, you shouldn't. Let marriages start encumbering free. That's my final opinion.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I couldn't agree more. And like I said before, that bride price is a customary instrument that ratifies marriage. That should be maintained. It's a custom and it ratifies marriage. It shows the expression of love of their husband for his wife to be. And it's an honor to the family. So as we said, it can evolve. We can change what we give or what, but it's an appreciation, and then it must not be demanded. Let the people who are going to get married, especially the husband, the young man coming to marry a wife, make a decision of how best he can show his gratitude to his parents, in-laws, to be within their means. And it's important to know within their means. I think these uncles and aunties take over the role of the bride's parent and negotiate and insist and make it a hassle for the young man to be. I think that should not happen. Let them do within their means. As like I said, all of us can become anything. When you're young, you literally start off with nothing. But as you grow older and you work harder, and your heart, your commitment, you become something. So let's respect the fact that when you're young, you literally have nothing, but it's your heart, like we said, which determines who you are, what you become. And so we should let young people set off with no debt, in happiness, and not looking at pride as having been a burden to get into their family in the first place. Thank you. Over to Ronnie.
My parting shots, as an event host who's done, many emceed at many wedding ceremonies. I was just thinking about this, and I find that a lot of the parents who have had a good relationship with their daughters. And I can tell that Dr. Eric and Mr. Sesanga are that sort of parent who are close to their daughters and have a great relationship. They are not willing to let their daughter go like a cow going down to the abattoir, using the example that Ron has given, you know. But I find that their families, well, the dad has not even been involved in the girl's life, and shows up almost at the end when now she's getting married, and then they're the ones who are putting demands which are, you know, out of this world. And it's just a pity that not only did you abscond from your duties, now when the girl's chance, you know, to move on to this next stage in life comes, you're still presenting yourself as a roadblock to her progress. And I think that's just a pity. So let's release the girls to go and let them go in peace. For my parting shots, as Rosette knows, I hold my Christian values very, very dear to me. And I just thought, I checked and said, what's the Bible's position on bride price and things like this? And I'll just read you one scripture from my Bible, as you can see, and it's from Exodus chapter 22, verse 16 and 17. It says, "If a man seduces a virgin who is not pledged to be married and sleeps with her, he must pay the bride price and shall be his wife. If her father absolutely refuses to give her to him, he must still pay the bride price for the virgins." And there's a couple of other scriptures I could have read. But I find that in the Bible, bride price was actually not a requirement. Yeah, it only appears as a fine for some, you know, men who are not very serious, and it was a fine for rape or for taking on a virgin girl without consent of the family. And so if such a young man was found, he was required to give bride price. But if the family felt he was not even worthy to take her as a wife, he would still have to pay the bride price as a fine. But the rest of the scriptures allude to it's really agreement. Isaac and Rebecca, he took a gift. So when we go back to the good book, it's not a requirement. Let whatsoever two agree, let them go that direction. And so those are my parting shots. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being here with Eric, with Ron, and with Chamagero, who was with us earlier. Thank you so much, Rosette.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. Wow, what better way to wrap this up than in the word of the Lord. Thank you so much for sharing, gentlemen. It was really insightful. It was beautiful, really sharing about your thoughts on bride price. You know, our audience, just to share with us what you think. I'm sure this has been very, very knowledgeable for most of you. Until next time, with love from Bounce Love.